This is KDLT News at 10.
Today was justice served for Donovan. We've waited for this for more than 27 years.
Charles Russell Rhines becomes the 20th person executed in South Dakota history. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Tom Hanson.
And I'm Kelsey Passel. The wait is over tonight regarding the execution of South Dakota death row inmate Charles Rhines. He was convicted in the 1992 stabbing death of Rapid City Donut Shop employee Donovan Schaefer.
Rhines was scheduled to die by lethal injection this afternoon, but multiple appeals delayed that process. KDLT's Miranda Page has been at the state pen all day. She joins us now with the very latest. Miranda.
Tom, Kelsey, it was a long day of waiting. Charles Rhines was set to be executed this afternoon by lethal injection at 1:30, but that time was pushed back due to 3 appeals. He wasn't executed until 6 hours later. Around 6:30 p.m., the U.S. Supreme Court denied all 3 appeals, allowing the execution to continue. Rhines was administered the drug pentobarbital at 7:36. He was pronounced dead at 7:39. In Rhines' last words before his execution, he told the Schaefer family that he forgave them for their anger and hatreds toward him. He never apologized for what he did, and he asked for multiple foods as his last meal, including black licorice, fried chicken, and cookies and cream ice cream. Witnesses say Rhines had a calm demeanor the entire time. Mark Vargel, the Pennington County State's attorney, has been working on the case since the start and says after multiple appeals, it's finally over.
Hoops that have nothing to do with protecting the integrity of the process or ensuring justice, but are just mechanisms of delay and obfuscation. And at every step of the way, their focus has been on Donovan and on seeking a just result.
The victim's parents, along with his fiancée Sheila, her parents, Donovan's brother Steve, and Aunt Kathy joined several media members in witnessing the execution. They spoke with media after the execution, saying today was a day they've waited for 27 years. 27 years.
Donovan firmly believed in the death penalty, and I am very happy that this has taken place. Donovan really believed in eye for an eye, and in matter of fact, on March 8th, eerie as it sounds, he was discussing what would happen if something would happen to me or to him, and discussed eye for an eye.
During the media briefing, this family spent most of their time talking about and remembering Donovan as a boy who loved to fish, play practical jokes, and lend a helping hand. Donovan's family says this closes the books on Rhines, but they will forever feel the pain that he has caused them. Live from the South Dakota State Prison, Miranda Page, KDLT News.
Thanks, Miranda. Rhines is the 20th person executed in South Dakota history. There's only one inmate on death row in the state right now. That is Briley Piper, who kidnapped and killed Chester Allen Pogue near Spearfish in 2000. Now, South Dakota recognized lethal injection as the official method of execution in 1984. Prior to that, only one execution was carried out by the electric chair. The first executions in South Dakota were all done by hanging. Now, the drug of choice in Rhines' execution is one of the reasons the High Court looked at his appeals earlier today.
The state chose pentobarbital, which Rhines argued is not an ultra-fast-acting barbiturate. Jill Langland explains the classification of barbiturates and how pentobarbital affects the brain.
Barbiturates work on the brain. Now remember that the brain transmits messages either by electrical activity or chemical activity that's transmitted into electrical impulses.
Dr. Heinemann says barbiturates interfere with the brain's ability to transmit those impulses by interfering with electrolytes, salts, chloride, and potassium as they move through the cells.
When you take a barbiturate, like pentobarbital, and you take enough of it, like in the case of, in this situation, it will overwhelm the brain. The brain will no longer work or function. Therefore, the respiratory centers cease to work because breathing is driven by an impulse in your brain, and essentially you stop breathing and you will suffocate.
Once loss of breathing occurs, the heart will cease to function, as well as the brain.
Part of that also means that you will also lose consciousness because you're not capable of maintaining conscious activity when the brain has been interfered with in such a way that barbiturates work.
There are several classifications of barbiturates: short-acting, intermediate-acting, and long-acting. Dr. Heineman says pentobarbital is classified as a short to medium-acting barbiturate. That means the drug is cleared or destroyed by the body quickly. Long-acting drugs would impact the body over a longer period of time.
They basically render the brain ineffective, and then all other bodily functions follow after that.
In Sioux Falls, Jill England, KDLT News.
Dr. Heineman says drug overdoses and opioids or other barbiturates are the same way. They suppress the brain to the point where it's no longer consciously able to maintain certain functions, like breathing.
Outside the prison, protesters voiced their opposition to the death penalty, both through signs and through prayer. Those attending say they don't support the death penalty and grieve for both families involved. Ricardo Lewis brings us the story tonight.
The younger generation, when they grow up, are going to look back on our time and say, you did what? You killed human beings? Why would you want to do that?
A group of peaceful protesters held a prayer service outside of the South Dakota State Penitentiary to voice their concerns for the death penalty and pray for all affected.
It seems to me that only God has the right to determine the length of a person's life.
And especially when you meet the guys on death row, we have almost 3,000 in this country that are on death row, 3,000 of our citizens. And so it hurts, it's painful. But that's another reason why we pray.
For nearly 27 years, they've waited for this day to come, some saddened to lose a friend, and others fighting for death row inmates' lives to be saved.
You get to know a human being for who they are, and then you have to do a day like this. It's hard.
A chilling day outside, huddled up in lawn chairs with rosaries around necks and hands. They say, "Not in my name." Signs picket the ground, and the death penalty. South Dakota, stop killing.
We want them to know that we're not here against them. We are here against what's going on today, and that's the killing of a human being.
This is a prayer vigil, and so I'm going to be praying that there will be an end to the death penalty in our state.
They say it should be about all life and not killing someone who has once killed before.
Is this really who we are in this state? I think the people in South Dakota are good people. And I think once they realize what's really going on here, that we're killing someone who has killed, to say that killing is wrong, maybe they'll look twice.
In Sioux Falls, Ricardo Lewis, KDLT News.
South Dakota is one of 25 states with the death penalty. 21 states do not have the death penalty, and 4 have a governor-imposed moratorium.
People also gathered at St. Joseph's Cathedral for a prayer vigil against the death penalty. In August, Pope Francis changed the church's official stance on the issue. He says the death penalty is inadmissible because it's an attack on the dignity of the person. Those at today's vigil say they were praying for Rines' soul and those who have suffered at his hands.
The Catholic Church stands firmly for a culture of life, which means that it recognizes the dignity of all human beings from the moment of conception to the moment of natural death. So the Church would see the death penalty as inconsistent with this call to support a culture of life.
The South Dakota Catholic Conference also issued a statement saying, in part, restoring the disorder introduced by crime is a heavy responsibility, and we thank those in public service who bear this civic duty.
Still ahead on KDLT News at 10, at least one Sioux Falls City Council member is raising questions about a major project that's coming in over budget.
And we are tracking the return of some snowfall across the Sioux Empire for tomorrow. I'll time it out coming up. Your full forecast is only 90 seconds away.
Welcome back. Sioux Falls City Council members are raising concerns over a project that's coming in over budget. Mayor Paul Tenhaken is asking for an additional $1.5 million to finish the downtown parking ramp. The initial 7-story project was supposed to anchor another 8 stories of commercial building space. This isn't the first time more funding has been requested. In 2018, $1.2 million was allocated to the parking ramp budget. This latest request has a few council members asking questions.
We have yet to get the answers as to what exactly that money is going to be used for. And so there are a group of us on the council who are going to be asking for more specifics on this before we go ahead with this, to make sure that we aren't giving a blank check to the administration.
The City Council will vote on the parking ramp resolution tomorrow night. They need 5 votes for approval. In the event of a tie, Mayor Tenhaken will have the deciding vote. South Dakota farmers might have another trade partner soon.
One state representative is hosting delegates from around the world, showcasing what the ag industry does best. KDLT's Grace Feinerman brings us the details.
State Representative Michael Saba's goal is simple:
bring new dollars into South Dakota and to preserve South Dakota's agricultural heritage.
He's looking to sell South Dakota ag products to Egypt. The delegation met Monday morning at Powhatan Sioux Falls. Egyptian ambassadors appear interested in making a deal.
Put together a group of business people to come to explore that possibility of really dealing directly with the producers in the state, particularly South Dakota, because we are big importers of the major crops in the state.
The initial conversation included Egypt buying 10,000 tons of soybeans and other products like corn and wheat. Saba is also showing off the ag technology of the state, and he thinks the agreement's going to make a difference.
The difference will look like sales, more sales.
And sales not only in Egypt. He says the country's in the perfect location.
It's linked to a larger market, both the Middle East and Africa.
South Dakota seems to be making a good impression.
People are coming from the countryside, from the rural areas, from Fayoum and so on. I told them, you are going to meet people exactly like you, friendly, direct. They wanted to do business, not to talk politics and to waste the time and so on.
It's the first step in an alliance that could strengthen in years to come.
You follow a relationship which could be beneficial for both sides.
In Sioux Falls, Grace Feinerman, KDLT News.
The delegation is scheduled to visit Brookings tomorrow and Watertown and Aberdeen on Wednesday. There's no timetable for when the deals will be finalized.
Well, we just finished Halloween, but someone is already getting a head start on Christmas. Santa will be setting up shop on Friday at the Empire Mall in Sioux Falls. It's a chance for the kids to get their picture taken with Santa and tell him what they want for Christmas. There are also pet photo nights and caring Santa sessions for families with special needs. If you're hoping to skip the lines, you can schedule a visit on the Empire Mall website. Santa will be at the mall until Christmas Eve.
Opponents of the Roosevelt football team must be wondering if they're seeing double. Mark O has our Athletes of the Week next in sports.